So, welcome to episode 5 of the Bear Market Builders podcast. We are here today with Bad Cats. I'll let them explain a little bit more about who they are. So, take it away.
We've been around for 6 months. We minted back in September 14. Ever since then, we've done a lot of crazy shit. We've seen the number one on OpenSea, most tweeted project for a short period of time. We had some highs and lows. The whole FTX crash was really crazy. But in that time, we've built a lot of cool stuff. We've built the only color linked trait swapper around. We've cultivated a community that is still one of the most active around right now. People are still getting rated like crazy for joining into the community. We've done a lot of cool stuff artistically, collaborations with one-on-one artists, a bunch of different amazing projects all around the Solana ecosystem, a lot of blue chips. And we've built some pretty cool machines that are doing pretty well in white labeling as software as a service, for different projects like Retro Goons, um, DGen Legends, etc. So we're building a lot of cool shit. We're doing a lot of cool collaborations, and we're going into a new phase after finishing our first roadmap where we'll be looking to just be adaptable and create a lot of different ways to return value to the people who hold our NFTs.
Love it. Um, so, how long has Bad Cats been out so far?
We launched on September 14th, but we derugged the project on April 20th. So for the team working on it, we're coming up on a year and a month and some change. As far as how long the project's been out since Mint, it's been like what, 6 months, I think, roughly, almost.
What made you said you took over Bad Cats, correct?
Yeah, we the original team and I derugged it um, back when it was a different project in on April 20th of last year.
So, how did you get into that project and want to derug it?
Yeah, it was a really cool process actually. So, um, I saw the art. It was like a derivative derug called Dead Cats, a combination of Dead Gods and Cats on Crack. And I saw the art on ME. It was kind of pumping in volume. I thought it was cool. I bought a couple. Obviously, as soon as I bought a couple, floor price went up like 2 times. I see an announcement that the founder rugged and some other guy would be taking it over. That person would end up being Lunar Rivers, who's not on the team anymore as of the 19th of last month. But he was the original founder who derugged the project. When he took it over, I liked his sense of communication. How passionate he was. The fact that he like used eight exclamation marks in all of his announcements. I thought that was crazy. So I saw that Spoonicus would start advising it, who he got in contact with, and I at the time was doing whitelist for a lot of projects. I talked with Spoonicus. He brought me onto the project to help out because he knew I had some expertise with aspects of the space that helped advise projects before. And before we knew it, we all just started kind of working on this thing as a labor of love. I was just really keen to become a student of the game and learn how things work on a different level. And at that time, I had seen a lot of successful projects derug through just grit and the ability to rally a community. I mean, obviously, Jelly is one of the leading examples of those. Tire Robotics, two projects we were able to collab with, which I'm super, super proud of and are still some of my favorite collaborations to this date. But yeah, we just started getting into it, putting in the sweat equity, um, trying to our best to do what the community wanted, but also do what we know is going to add the most value to them in onboarding new people, and finding that balance. And over time, that ended up being rebranding to Bad Cat and being where we are now.
So, how did you yourself get into Web3?
Oh, that's I guess like there's like two rounds of it, right? Like I first got into Web3 kind of like a long time ago. ETH was like $300, $400, and I remember reading up about it and being like, "Yo, this is really crazy." So of course I was kind of young at the time, so I remember asking my mom. I was like, "Yo, mom, I know we don't have that much money, but I swear to God, if you invest in this, we're gonna be rich." Yeah, I think we paper handed like 2-3K, and ever since then, I kind of got into the ETH GameFi side of things. I liked a lot of the early GameFi projects that were coming out. Some of the coins that were uh, the shitcoin season that was really popular. And then eventually I stumbled across all the games, things like Axie Infinity in its very early days, Gods Unchained in its first release run. And so I started being in those communities, collecting those NFTs, watching them kind of blow up and grow this huge base of users. At the time, I was actually only on ETH. I had no clue what Solana was. I started using a website called Rollbit. And on that website, I actually saw Carlos streaming. I think he was playing Rollbit, or you might have been playing Stake. No, I think you were definitely on Rollbit back in the day. Um, and basically, I saw Carlos had bought this project called Jelly Babies. He had this Jelly Baby custom that had the jersey on it with the snapback cap. And I started looking at Solana NFTs, and I remember minting like 30 Jelly Babies. It was the first time I'd ever minted an NFT. And ETH, I'd always just like signed up for the pre-sales airdrops or bought packs that were airdropped. It was never a minting experience. And from there, I fell in love with the Solana community, just being in the Twitter space, seeing what everybody's doing. Um, and I've been spending like 16 hours a day here ever since.
I love that you talking about joining so early and telling your mom about it, because I was there last year, March 2nd of last year. I joined the space, bought my first soul. I was 12 then, and so I couldn't have my own Coinbase account. So I sent my brother $100 on PayPal, and he bought me my first soul. And that night I bought like, I think it was one NFT, and then the next couple of days I bought like another six of the same project, and a month later I sold them all and made about 3K. So that was pretty nice. Um,
Hey,
yeah,
fuck yeah.
it kind of hooked me. It's actually on my birthday. Just started or just turned 13 and made a nice 3K that night. So that was pretty nice. Jelly, go ahead.
Just wanted to come into the space and let everybody know. Retweet this space. We're rocking it out for the last 13 minutes. For any cat in here or any non-holder that has questions for Bad Cat, drop it into the comment section. Get those comments jumping, and we'll come back to those questions at the end of this space. But retweet this space. We want this to grow. We want this space not only to grow, but the whole Web3 community. It only helps us and our bags of potential, NFTs that we hold. When we have founders come up in here and actually speak for projects, it helps the entire space. So please retweet it, like it, drop comments in the comments section.
Thank you, Jelly. I was just about to get there. I need you as a co-host every time, so we might be talking about that soon. So, as you said, you love Soul. So why did you pick Soul to build your project on?
Yeah, I think like it's interesting, right? Because I think when you derug a community, like you don't really get the choice. Like we could definitely derug an airdrop to like Aptos, near ETH, but I think the biggest thing you want to do when you derug is not isolate the community. Like everything should be in service to things. Otherwise, you're basically just rugging and taking the art and doing whatever you want with it. So it just kind of made sense for us to be on Solana. As far as like why Solana really gravitated towards me and the team more than any other chain, it was just you know the degen culture, the fact that Twitter was and communities were very accessible. On ETH, it feels like you can easily get priced out of communities really fast, and so the most active communities can be out of the price range of a lot of cool people, just everyday people that you would meet normally. And on Sol, I feel like everything goes through that starting process. Like in the pre-OKB era, I think nothing had really hit past 10 Sol that launched at that size, um, before they did in the first week. So almost like every community that was really exciting and coming up and had cool people and connections to make were things that were accessible. And that's something that really appealed to me. Any environment where I can connect with different founders, artists, individuals, developers, learn things about the space, and acquire the knowledge that they have that I can't get from other people. That's a really valuable thing to me. And so being on Solana afforded the easiest way and the best way to do that. And we have a ton of builders on this chain, so it's super cool.
Yeah, I'm so bullish on Soul. I don't want to say it's hard to get priced out on things, but it's definitely a cheaper entry to a lot of projects. And I feel like you get more, what do people say, bang for your buck, um, on Soul, because I feel like there's so many people on Soul that are building things for their project that are and the project is like $60 to get into. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm very bullish on Soul. Um, so you guys are, a project that you can change your cat at any time, correct?
Yeah.
So you want to explain a little bit about, where you got that idea from and why you let people, or why you wanted to let people just make their cat how they wanted to?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about the whole process was when we were doing this process, there weren't many trait swappers on chain, and all of them had rather rudimentary ways in that they functioned. So the current model when we released was the same model that Tayo and Baked Beavers were using, which was this model where you swap a trait, the previous trait that was on the NFT basically vanishes, and the original trait is burned. Um, when I thought about the ideas of traits, I thought about it like if NFTs are identity, then traits are basically your appearance, right? Your wardrobe, your clothes, your access to customizing your identity. And so it made sense to me that the trait swapper should be designed in a function wherein no NFTs are created or destroyed. That way, the collectability of these traits as they're swapped on and off are preserved. And so, that being said, we were in the community originally, and um, long story short, the ME had came out with an announcement that they were going to get rid of derivatives from the platform, right? Around the time we took over, the community was really worried. One thing we got in contact with the ME team about was the guidelines around what is considered derivative. And so we talked with the community, if we trait swapped enough of the traits out, would it not be considered a derivative? Ultimately, that didn't conclude because their guidelines at the time had included the base as the main factor, and our base was still a Cats on Crack base. So we knew we had to rebrand into a new project like Bad Cat, but the core community was really excited about that concept of trait swapping. And so from there, we knew that we wanted to do trait swapping, but it had to be something that was adding value in terms of what's innovative about it or the approach we're doing it. Otherwise, we're just a derug community doing the same thing that already exists on chain. It's not going to advance our position, and it's certainly not going to clear up the dissonance around what we're doing. So from there, we had to take this basic concept of traits are going to stay on and off when you swap. Now, how do we maximize the potential gain for that? How do we justify and make it exciting? Loosely picking apart rarity and the trait design system. And one thing we knew immediately was if traits are NFTs that can't be burned, then you can tie things to it. You can attach value to it. Things like our collab with Degen NFT and Valhalla Labs. There's traits that are clothes that you can swap on that give you access to every Valhalla Labs event, IRL, in perpetuity. Similar to that, because these are NFTs, they're not SFTs, they're not on the metadata. They're not SFTs that are backpacked onto the metadata. Because these are separate NFTs, we can gate them via hash lists. We can have them give access to certain tools. We can basically identify them on chain and allow them to gate different access to things. So we knew immediately that collaborations of any scale were a part of the process, even if it's just DAO access to sniping bots to gated access to new tools that come out. We knew that traits that could be kept on chain, not burned, which would be a unique thing for the ecosystem, could be pushed in concept to show you how this can be valuable through collaboration, the utility it comes with, and obviously the collectability of it. The really cool thing about our trait swapper is in the design process, we actually had a really hard time dealing with all the trait combinations and making them look fully cohesive. And so we had an idea that if we were going to do the trait swapping and create it ourselves, what if we added a logic to it where every time a trait is swapped, it adjusts from a catalog and picks a combination from it. So the way this works is all the bases carry with them a tag, and that tag is basically the identifier for which version of each trait to swap on. So if you swap a mullet onto the iced out skin, it looks like the iced out color. It's bluish white, it's shiny, it's sleek. If you swap it onto the Basquiat skin, it's red. These are the exact same trait. They have the exact same metadata. It's just that they swap the identity of the image dynamically based on what fur it's on. And that's something that's completely unique to our trait swapper. So kind of like a long way of how we got about it, but the community wanted it. We wanted to do it. And if we do anything, we're going to do it in a way that's unique that nobody's done before, and hope that sets a precedent. And that's what we did.
I'm learning about the word precedent in history class. So how do you get the new traits to put on your cat?
Yeah, so we have a lot of cool ways. The best way to get them is you can buy them off secondary, or you can buy them via rep, which you get for staking your bad cat. You can buy them directly for rep in the bad market. We've dropped a bunch of different traits from our Halloween collections to our Dead Cats OG claimant. You can get them in the Gotcha machine, which is an animated degen toy machine with soul, NFTs, SPL tokens. You also get a trait one in every 5 spins, guaranteed, which you can spin for rep. And then we also airdrop them to people who are social staking for events. There's different ways to earn them via burning traits. You can now go to our burn store, burn a trait for 10 points, and trade those in for skins and different traits that are exclusive to the burn store, such as our new Solana fur, which has like 45 different variations. So there's 3 different ways to obtain them manually and immediately. And then through social staking, that's the 4th way that you can get some seasonal or event items.
So you were talking about rep, and how are you able to get rep?
Yeah, the simplest way to get rep is just to hang around and be in the Bad Cat community. You can stake your Bad Cat for rep. Right now, you stake for 8 rep a day. On March 14th, the emissions will have to 4 rep per day, and our first big rep sync will come out. But that is the straight and simple way to get it. There's a lot of different ways for being in our community, being at the community events, stuff like the NFL playoffs, the World Cup, just coming through and hanging out. We're giving out rep all the time.
Can I ask, like, what made you, or what's making you move it from 8 rep to 4 rep a day?
Yeah, so far, right now, we have a really interesting mechanism coming out that works better if we scale back the current emission rate. We also, in the first phase of things, didn't make the deadlines for our target amount to reduce emissions. So having it as a way for us with our new content coming out, which we have 3 or 4 things in the chamber, to supply shock the rep supply really hard. The biggest thing is we have pretty much the tracked current emissions of rep. And I think one of the biggest traps you can fall into is at a certain point when you have a token and that token is tied to your value proposition, you need to assess, like, did we reach the target goals for taking this rep out of circulation, and are there persistent mechanisms to drive the hype in, right? Like using the gotcha, using the bad market, these are things that persistently exist, which would draw a rep out of the ecosystem and require an immediate demand, but there's no supply shock to support that. Because we didn't make all the deadlines that we set for things in phase 1, even though we came out with a lot of really good content, a lot of our art content was stuck behind, which is why we restructured the team. And the art is really our gated mechanism to drawing rep out of the ecosystem. So becoming less reliant on that, we're trying to create systems that can take rep out of the ecosystem, not just from an art direction, but from a utility and value standpoint. And to support those movements, to support the value of bad cats, we're having the rep emissions because we're confident that after we supply shock with the value proposition of what we're doing immediately next, having the emissions be at a more controllable rate will be easier for us to keep the value of rep high, thus helping the value proposition around bad cats.
Yeah. So Tardo came up here. Tardo, do you have any questions for Bad Cats?
Not really. Actually, I do have one. First of all, Hellboy, I just want to give you mad props. I know how hard it can be to derug a project, especially a derivative project at that. I do just want to ask. Mine's been staking since mint. I haven't really touched the rep that much or customized it. Uh, how do I like? Where's the best way to find the trait store if there is one? As well as is there a liquidity pool tied to rep?
Yeah, there's no liquidity pool, at least not one funded by us. I know our whale group, Bad Capital, has been very much at a point of thinking about adding some base liquidity just to get it trading on different things like Radium and Jupiter. That being said, we don't supply any liquidity to the liquidity pool, and it's not something we're looking at directly right now. We do have funds for rep from our software as a service, which is its own thing in the white paper. I'll skip for now. To add liquidity if we want to, but it's just not something we think is best for a token in this market right now. That being said, if you want to spend your rep, the easiest way is just to go to the link tree on our page, and there's a fast link to all the stuff. But I would say there's some really big stuff coming up. Don't spend your rep. And on the 18th, we are going to be making incredibly massive UI and user experience onboarding changes that will make it really easy for you to be guided through the process of everything we've done so far if you're a new user, or get reacquainted with just 1 or 2 clicks to everything you need. So, I would say if you've been out of it for a while, just keep up with the announcements, say what's up to the community because they're super active. And on the 18th, enjoy the new user experience flow that'll help you catch up with everything and find out exactly what you can do with your rep and how to enjoy the things inside of the BVD ecosystem.
Is rep on Famous Foxes for sale?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the benefits of holding a bad cat?
So immediately, it's the direct tangible value benefit is in obtaining rep. And then the rep cycle that we have exists in a way where you spend your rep to get collaborative traits. These collaborative traits usually retain a high amount of value. Stuff like our D-Goats jerseys have sold for 5 Sol, Tayo Pilots helmets selling for 6, 7 Sol. Not Tayo Pilots, Tayo Robotics helmets selling for 6, 7 Sol. As well as like some alpha utility like the Alpha Pharaohs headdress gives you full access to the Alpha Pharaohs Discord, which is priced very, very high, all of their alpha tools and everything. Every single thing but the rate to earn mechanism. So people can spend rep, which is a very, very small resource, to obtain these collaboration traits that have collectability to different individuals, that have utility attached to them. The biggest thing about phase 2 is, although the ecosystem for Bad Cat is fun to interact with, that it isn't really directly rewarding. So with phase 2, biggest tangible benefit is that most, if not everything we're doing, is not only driving value to rep directly, it's also pertaining to driving value directly to the Bad Cat holders, right? Like you won't have to spend any rep to get something, to sell something, to get value. We're going to cut out that direction and pour all of your rewards front loaded into, if you have a Bad Cat during this period of time, you're benefiting in this way. If you have rep, you're getting access to these things that provide you value very directly, either through the collaborations, the companies we're working with in software as a service, or the IP partnerships that we're working on in the background.
I love how you've gained stuff from Bad Cats and say like another server from the collab, because usually most projects just you only benefit from the one side of it. And I love how like you said, the Alpha Pharaohs, you can have a cool headpiece. I don't really know what they're called, and I don't remember, but you can have a cool headpiece on your cat and gain access to their server, which is sick. So what's like the end goal for Bad Cats?
Yeah, the end goal, it's really interesting. If you would have asked me it 3 months ago, it would have just been building out the IP as much as possible and getting it to a state where it's attractive to Web2 venture capital investors that we've had conversations before, and fills a product gap for being acquired by those brands and companies. Essentially what I want to do with Bad Cat is display the unique systems of tech that we have, how they can be used to adopt users. It's always been my model at Bad Cat to get it in a position to expand and scale up to daily active users. Everything we do is designed with that mechanism. All of our systems are designed to be white labeled, so they're designed to be able to handle high capacity. And so ideally, my goal is to take Bad Cat as an IP, as a project, to a point where the data behind it, in terms of not only the holders, the engagement, our position within the ecosystem, our position in visibility, and our engagements and analytics as a brand, as well as the monetization of our apps based on the IPs, to a point where the data, the presentation, and all of it makes sense to retail companies, Web2 investors, big money and capital that want to deploy onto a user base and use those mechanisms to gain a foothold that's interesting. Much of like what you're seeing with Polygon, up until that point, it's really about being adaptable because the market is so closed right now, and there's very, very little ways to diverge from the current path and extract value out of the ecosystem to grow the position of the brand and the IP. So just staying adaptable and doing whatever it takes to convince people that there is value in having this from a community utility or investment standpoint to get us into that position. Whatever it takes, whatever we have to build, whatever we have to do, while expanding our IP and increasing our metrics that are attractive to investors.
Yeah. Um. So how are you planning to work with projects, in the future?
Yeah, so we've worked with 40, 50 different projects, a bunch of Ute DAOs, DGods DAOs, Cats on Crack, Primates, a bunch of lovely communities, AP, Tie Robotics, TAT. And I think the biggest thing about where we went wrong with some of these things is Partnership 2 was very successful. Royalties went away, which damaged the utility relations of a lot of the agreements we had. And so a lot of the utility fell through. Thankfully, the historical and cultural value of these traits still made the release very successful for a lot of our users. But the biggest issue was if traits are the main proposition of value return for rep, then they have to have enough demand either through the utility, which creates a baseline of value, or for their ability to be exchanged for something of value, whether it's soul, whether it's burning it to get something else, whether it's a point of access to something. So a rule I've set with the internal team is that every collaboration, since we've already knocked out all the cool IPs and integrations, is that every project collaboration we work on from this point on has to come with some aspect of utility they're willing to offer and guarantee up front. Even if it means, giving them a bigger percentage, and aiding them and lending them our resources, promoting their content more, making sure that every trait or every partnership we do with a project, unless the IP is like super fucking pico amazing and beneficial for the brand, it comes with utility. And then other than that, in terms of the collaboration aspect, one market I see increasingly growing in volume and where there's a lot to benefit in attracting the right kind of investors is the one-of-one community. And so I've been working very, very closely with some of the coolest one-of-one creators, people whose pieces are valued incredibly well because they've established themselves as not only community members of the one-of-one space, but people who have solid collectors behind them that appreciate their work because they've put in the time, they've done the networking. So with phase 2 starting out, I want to pour less off the gas from traits and project partnerships because that's what everybody's been used to and expects out of Bad Cat. Not to say that those things won't return in small doses to provide value back to holders, but to give them a different perspective of what we're able to do with the network and reach we have and the resources we have. So right now we have about 7 or 8 one-of-one artists confirmed in collaborations. We're expecting that number based on our success rates and conversions to hit 2030 by next week. And by the time of release, we should have all 50 that we're aiming for underway for one of the biggest drops we've done so far. And then after that, we'll be doing some collaboration pieces with some projects and communities that we think are really, really interesting. So we've got a lot of stuff on the timeline, and all of that is coming hopefully within March. Almost all of it should come in March. All of the one-of-one artist collaborations will come in March, but the project collaborations after that may be early April.
So, do you have an idea of how the one-of-one art is going to get distributed yet? Is it going to be like a rep? I don't want to say like a rep raffle, or you know what I mean though.
Yeah, so I think the coolest thing is that almost all of the proceeds of the auctions are going to go back to the artists, and the ones that aren't are the ones that we're paying for to be auctioned in rep. So some of them will be auctioned in rep, some of them might be raffled, some of them might be auctioned straight for soul via exchange art, but anything we do with a monetary attachment in our collaborations with one-of-one artists, all of those proceeds, if it's not done in rep and it's done in soul, USDC, bonk, whatever, those things will go back to the original creators. Our real focus is expanding the IP, attracting different investors with our ability to collaborate and show what we're capable of, and doing something fun that gets people excited and also benefits the one-of-one space, which I think right now is at a really cool growing point, and if cultured more by communities that have a large reach, can really reach a breaking point. So
That made me really bullish. I'm glad that you guys are, helping the artist. And you see some other projects. I don't want to say not really helping the artist, but taking more for themselves than the artist. And I love that because I'm a very big supporter of one-of-one artist. Um, So do you have like any IRL products? I feel like Bad Cats would definitely be a cool brand on like a shirt or a hoodie.
Yeah, I guess I can definitely drop some alpha. We don't have any IRL products right now, but the alpha is that merch is coming soon. So we'll be doing some cool stuff in that regard. There's no super official timeline on it yet. What we want to do is make sure that we've got the sticker packs, the merch, everything done up front, ready to go, so that we can just ship it and have the fast turnaround time. I think if you do merch, there's got to be something unique about it. And so far, I've seen a lot of products get shipped 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. We're working really hard on solving that now as hard as we can while we're getting the production process of things put together, so that we can get 2, 3 week turnaround times to people who purchase.
Love that. Go ahead, Tardo.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of merch, and not even merch to an extent, but just good clothing. That's definitely something lacking in the space is like just throwing an NFT on a T-shirt. But will that be able to be purchased in rep or soul, and then it will it be like limited, or will it be you guys kind of gather all of the orders and then get like the distributors to start creating it and printing it?
Yeah. So I think the interesting thing is, most people do source the orders and then get the distributor. And I think that's what leads to the really long turnaround times and what we've identified talking with different people who work on projects. So we want to do things a bit differently. We're looking at them from the approach of different companies like Teddy Fresh, who started out basically with a fixed supply of really high quality goods, and so that you know we can sell out the demand and we can ship the turnaround time super fast to get it back to people to start spreading that content around on the timeline. So it will be a limited run. There will be a mixed way of options for you to purchase. um, the designs aren't going to be just like an NFT or just a logo. We're going to take a concept of inserting the logo where we can, but making sure the merchandise itself is just stuff that are cool and that you want to wear and that you want to buy, and that BVD as a community and as a brand can put out products that are desirable and from a Web 2 standpoint, objectively um, separate from Web 3. The really cool thing is that our lead artist, Shark, has worked on a bunch of numerous projects. She's worked in a bunch of numerous industries, and she has done merchandise design before. She's done different fashion and clothing concept design. So we've been working on some stuff that's really cool with her, and we're really excited to launch it. But yeah, limited supply, multiple purchase options, going to be really cool.
I love that you're using it more as a brand and not just saying like copy paste your NFT on a shirt, because I feel like you've seen too much of that in the space already, and nobody really wants to wear. I don't want to say nobody, but you know what I mean. Not too many people want to wear just a copy paste shirt. They would rather wear an actual brand. Um, so you want to explain a little bit more about what Phase 2 is?
Yeah, I can't say too much, but I guess the best thing I can say about Phase 2 is that it's the beginning of us having charted out, planned, and structured the basis of what will be the roadmap for Bad Cat going forward. It's basically a signal or an identifier to people in the community, mixed with the content we're releasing and going to release, that we did a lot of different stuff in Phase 1. We're acknowledging it, the strengths, the successes, the failures. We've restructured the team and made the hard choices we needed to make sure that we're lean and optimized, and that those same points of failures don't exist again. Whether that's with the development expansion, having a personal dev to handle timelines, artist expansion of breaking it down to 3, 4 different artists for different roles and having them communicate as a team, and then onboarding the mods who were eager to do more to handle some of the day-to-day systems so that we can handle the expansion of the business and the outreach of things on the back end of things. So what Phase 2 really is a reorganization and optimization of everything Bad Cat. And that's going to come with us overhauling the UI UX design of every single D app we have, our website, the Discord, our branding. Everything is going to get a visual bump that will allow people to onboard through our system and just be attracted to it on a more base level. When we made the logo and the brand, we were 8 dudes in a group call on Discord who had never worked on a project. We had a great advisor, And we basically just read up all day everything we could about how to make a good brand, and we made the logo in like 5 minutes. And up until Mint, we got by on hard work, sweat equity, and gusto, 16-hour days, day after day, week after week, month after month. And that was enough to win over some founders and investment groups that would take a chance on us. In the time we've been running this project, we have learned a lot of different things. Me personally, in my experience, running Bad Labs and helping the production of a bunch of different other projects and seeing how those things work and how we can improve our systems. Not to mention the different founders we had the privilege to speak to at Miami and San Francisco and Vegas. So just taking a direction wherein we revisit all of the weak aspects of the brand that stops users from buying in now and stops users from understanding the onboarding experience, and recreating that into something that is visually stunning and makes you want to be a part of it. From the minute you go right into the first second of interaction, 20 seconds later, um, if you're not feeling some type of significant emotional response, and you're not able to get 1 to 2 clicks to buying, to interacting, to using any of the D apps, to seeing the designs, the functionality is wrong. And so us correcting that, having corrected it, and polishing it to a point where we can launch new products with the user experience direction that we have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I missed the mic on button. So, what is your favorite part about Web3?
Oh, that's the best question, dude. I love when people ask that question. It's like, it's honestly the work, and it's not like something I guess many people can relate to. I think mostly founders, project managers, people who are here building on the ecosystem rather than consuming on the ecosystem. It's the fact that you can infinitely pour labor into something and see a return on the effect on it. And you can also see a no return on the effect of it. And it's like getting the immediate haptic feedback of the ideas, concepts, and the effort you're putting in. And I'm someone who doesn't really get discouraged when something goes wrong. I like to come up with good systems and good ideas, put them out there, and if they succeed, build on them, and if they fail, just keep trying again until something sticks and does really well. And Web3 as an ecosystem, as an environment, as a business, the way you communicate with the investors, the way you communicate and take ideas from the people around you, just the collaborative ability of it. I don't think Jeff Bezos is hanging out with Bill Gates on Discord calls at 3 a.m. talking about different product designs. But I can do that with some of the most talented and amazing founders and learn so much from them, and be humbled by their ability to come up with concepts that shake things up from even the simplest origin ideas, and use that to change my creative process and how I'm running Bad Cat, and creating new cool ideas. So just the return on effort and the ability to see everything you build, and the reactions to it in real time, and being able to infinitely pour that labor in.
Yeah. Jelly, you want to take that question as well? Okay. Uh, my favorite part about Web3 has to be probably community and connections, and opportunities. Not many 13-year-olds have as many opportunities as I do, and Web3 has given me all those opportunities. I made a tweet about it a couple days ago. Um, and then community and connections. Like, I haven't really, or sorry, I never really thought I could meet as many cool people as I did. But Web3 has helped. We have, Carlos down there, Tardo, just everyone that I've met, uh, can really teach you a lot in the space if you just listen. Um, so, what's been the hardest challenge of building Bad Cats so far?
That's whew. um I would say the hardest thing about the process, and it's not like the difficulty or the unwillingness to do it, it's just like, I guess, the hardness of the impact of realization, is being able to identify your failures and the team's failures, and being able to handle the criticism constructively, as well as give it out constructively in a way where You know, these are people you're working with 12, 14 hours a day, and you know, they come up with an idea and a concept, you work on it, you push it out. They have an expectation. There's a disappointment or discouragement that comes with that. And I think because everyone is so invested and in love with this community and this thing that we've built, you know, the wins feel amazing, but the losses feel even harder. And there are a lot of calls where you have to kind of buckle up after a failed release or a failed product, go back to the team that's discouraged and tell them, like, convince them, like, this is just a passing phase and we're going to continue to build, continue to push and get to the next stage. Just knowing that the majority of things you do will fail, they're meant to fail. And fail is not into like that they don't work, they don't function. It's that they just don't create the desired output necessary to bring you to that next level. Knowing that most of the things you do will do that, knowing that most of the people, which is a large group, will help you create things that aren't going to be able to do that, is the hardest process. But it's all worth it when you know that once you get the ball rolling and you get a sequence of things that are good and they're planned strategically and the execution goes as you expect or exceeds it, and you know that you're going to make hit after fucking hit after fucking hit, it makes all of it worth it, you know?
Yeah. Failure is a part of life. Um, sure, it might be hard during that time, but you just have to work over those, I guess, road bumps in your path. You know, if you if you work hard and go over those road bumps, you're gonna get a good result and the result that you want. So you just have to keep going and keep building. So what made you think that Bad Cats was gonna be a successful D-Rug?
Yeah, I had no fucking idea. And honestly, I don't know if I even thought that. I just thought, like, I'm here to do something. There's a cool community behind it. You know, even when we had 4 people in our spaces and like less than 1,000 views engagement, probably, um, at one point, I kept working on it like it was going to be the next blue chip. And I think everyone on the core team at that time did. They all had that same vision and drive to it. And we definitely had our share of doubts. You know, we got accepted to launch pads and then canceled on last minute by a bunch of them. We had developers fall through. We got rugged. We had a lot of different challenges that came up that constantly made us realize, like, you know, we're doing this out of all of, sweat equity and passion, and there's a limited amount of funds that come into the project, you know, being a D-Rug with no mint funds, that we can reutilize to accomplish different things. And so there was always that kind of feeling that it's such an insurmountable position at times that you almost don't feel like you know most of the time this formula is going to fail. So if you do, it doesn't mean anything. But if you succeed, it'll be fucking amazing. And knowing that that is possible, I think we all worked like that because we knew that if that was possible, it was worth putting the time in. It was worth pouring all our blood, sweat, and tears into. And up until the last moment, we just pushed on and continued to create with that vision, with that goal in mind. Even though I think most of us knew it was likely this wouldn't succeed, it was likely it wasn't going to work out. Um, but we ended up where we are. And I'm just super grateful to everyone who made that part of the process, the holders, people hosting spaces like you, different founders who've given us a leg up or inspired us, like Carlos, Frank, you know, all these different individuals. It's been a blessing, you know?
Yeah, I love that, what's to lose mindset, I guess, because if you just if you live life with that mindset, you're going to succeed. It's just how it is, because if you try stuff, you're going to succeed one of them at least one of the things. Um so how are you how do you feel that you're onboarding people from web 2 to web 3?
Yeah, I don't honestly think many projects are successfully, if even, onboarding Web 2 people to Web 3. And I think it's because the process isn't exactly Web 2 to Web 3. Like, if you still go to Yuga's other side video right now, all the top comments are people who fucking hate it, hate that it has anything to do with NFTs, this or that, which I think is, you know, a part of the reason why the word digital collectible gets used to circumvent the immediate hatred. But I don't think there are many products that are strongly integrating Web 2. Obviously, Jelly, your PFP, is one of those projects. But the PFP slash branding projects, the community projects, they're not at a position where you don't see the majority of their onboarding and people coming in through their funnel from Web 2. It's not happening through Instagram. At best, it's happening through word of mouth, but most of the time it's happening in ecosystem. And I think, when I talk with the top projects a lot of the time, a lot of the target is in ecosystem and appreciating the value of the assets in the project they're working on. So if users aren't the immediate funnel for onboarding Web 2, the next step is obviously businesses. If you onboard the business will onboard the users using what you're doing. Starbucks is doing this, Amazon's doing this, a bunch of different individuals are doing this. So for me, the best way for us to get to the path of onboarding Web 2 people is to create a project with onboarding and data metrics for new users, like getting them engaged, things they can do, tech that can be utilized in a Web 2 sense, and a business model that can attract individuals that can help brands establish a foothold, bringing the IP to that point. If you attract the businesses attract onboard Web 2 people, whole community value grows, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard thing to do, onboard people because so many people have, I guess, speculations about the space because I guess this bull market, when it was, or this bear market, sorry, when the bull market was, going on, you saw so many people, jumping in the space and because everyone was pretty much making money. But, since the bull, not too many people are joining the space and people feel, I guess, scared to jump in. So, what would you tell a person if they asked why should they get into Bad Cats?
Yeah, I think, at this point of where we're at, I think the biggest thing is we're doing a lot of things in the immediate future that will return value directly to you. So this is like the one point in the last 5 months of Bad Cat where outside of staking, like you actually are going to get tangible shit for holding a Bad Cat, which is really, really important. A lot of projects have succeeded doing this. It's something outside of our couple rounds of airdrops that we did that we didn't really do, and those were really successful. And there were definitely mechanisms for us to return value to the holders. So that's one of the biggest reasons. The second reason is the community is still super active. I mean, we went from doing very low engagement, not tweeting every day as we were building up and getting a content release ready and a way to reapproach the community after our restructure to being the fourth project on Smart Sea Society's most talked about. But I think it's like 4,600 mentions within 24 hours. So we're a huge community that knows how to make noise, that knows how to show up. People join in, we retweet them from the main account. They get a bunch of followers. They get a bunch of people willing to welcome them into a community, and an actual community that's engaging, creating content with each other, that's making memes in Discord, that's spamming emotes of colors they know nothing about because it's fun to be excited about shit. And third most, what we're doing in the future, the onboarding experience, I firmly believe that when people see it, they're not going to be able to shut up about how cool it is. And as a byproduct, word will get around and people will want to be a part of it. I've always been a fan of sleek interfaces, beautiful designs that elicit emotional responses and get people to want to talk about like the experience they just had. If you can do that, it gets people interested and makes people want to be a part of it. And I feel like onboarding of information, keeping people informed, giving them access to the things that we're doing has been a major pain point for us as a project. So improving that experience, I expect, alongside the super cool content video that we have dropping on the 18th with the huge big release, with the timer coming down, I think it'll do really, really well. So be early.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, Jelly, and then you can go. I just wanted to say Bad Cats is definitely one of the strongest communities in the space. Just like Ghost Kids, Jelly, you guys are always showing up. You guys are always rating, and I'm always seeing you guys on Twitter. So go ahead, Jelly.
Yeah, what resonated me heavy what Hellboy was saying is like, having small accounts and even potentially new people that come into this space and you guys are able to show love and, follow each other and have all the cats follow, a newbie even in the space. It shows a lot of support for somebody and that's what makes a holder, right? I mean, that's what shows strength inside of a community when somebody changes their PFP to a cat and they're just getting love from all these cats and other projects, then it shows how strong Bad Cats really are. I love when projects are like implementing that to where, change your PFP and we reward you for certain things, because it shows strength inside of a community. your biggest marketing tactic is always somebody's PFP that is daily grinding out and tweeting and networking. And I see a lot of cats in here showing love, and it just shows me how strong, like, communities strive to be better and grow every single day. So big ups to the cats, Hellboy, yourself, because you guys are definitely grinding. And being from a D-Rug project, it shows a lot of resilience from yourself, Hellboy, and everybody else that's still grinding through it. I've been in there. I've been in the dirt. Jellies have been through the dirt as well, and you see where they've taken off to. So I have no doubt that Bad Cat's going to do the same thing.
Love that, Jelly. So we're gonna move to the comments now. So one question: do you have any exclusive sub communities doing anything cool?
Yeah, so we actually have like two really awesome communities doing stuff. We've got Bad Capital, which is the whale community of Bad Cats for owning 10 or more. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. They're building out tech that they think is interesting. They're constantly sweeping, acquiring, hanging out. The Twitter chat is super active and super cool. They're also working with a bunch of different artists to release their own traits to make funds for the DAO, for them to do different initiatives, and for them to also have new methods of gated access. A lot of those traits are super cool. They're utilizing our color linked logic to make something that's really unique and hasn't been done before. So I think that is super awesome. On the other side of things, we have the iced out community, which I think the floor price is like almost double of what a normal bad cat is just for an iced out, despite being one of the most popular and populated furs in the entire collection. They're just a super tight knit community that's doing a lot of social things. They dropped a collaboration with Ghost Kids Gold Chain DAO to make a collab trait. I think it's like the first trait in our whole collection that's from two communities collaborating together. That also will give you 3 rep per day, so it has an added emission staking reward, and also generated about 2,000 to I think 2,200 something like that in revenue. So it's been super awesome working with those communities, and they're doing really really cool stuff.
I love that you are, supporting the sub communities because you don't see too many projects doing that. Also, Jelly, is my mic like good now?
It's still kind of bugging a little bit. Hellboy,
Bro.
is it bugging for you as well?
It's bugging, but I'm vibing with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, like we can still
got
hear you. It's just like a robot noise.
Oh, love that. Okay. Spend $300 on a mic, but it's okay. Okay. So how? Hold on. How are you? Oh, how are you as a project able to stay profitable even without royalties?
So yeah, this was a great one. Royalties are back for us on the PNFT standard, which is cool. When that royalty drought first hit, I believe we did about 45 to 50,000 soul volume without royalties enabled. And the really cool thing was that we quickly pivoted our timelines and structures to making it the app that could generate revenue. Like we knew for however long this exists, we need to prevent bleeding on the bottom line if we want to continue to aggressively expand. So we need to create some really cool piece of tech. We contacted Hydra about expediting some development services. As you know, they make the very popular DJing toy machine. And then for their price, we figured we could find and hire devs and an art team to reproduce something within 30 days that was a little more technologically advanced than that. So we started on a 21-day development plan to create the BVD Gotcha machine. It is essentially a toy machine that can be loaded with NFTs, PNFTs, Soul, SPLs, all the typical jazz you can put in a toy machine that is animated, has win and lose animations, sound animations, coin inputting animations. It has a full audio suite to it, and is something that is basically what already exists in generating revenue, but a bit more unique in its visual approach and a standard above. A lot of the basis for that, credit to Flippin' Rabbits. We're in conversation with them about design elements and optimizing that process since they have one of the best gotcha DApps on the chain. And so after producing that, we realized that unlike a lot of these DTMs that are hard for holders to extract value of, they're very much like net negative gambling. We have traits which can, at a very low production cost for us, right? We can create a bunch of quality traits. We can insert into the gotcha. Users can win those, and then they can liquidate them for value. And because we can produce so many, we don't only have to have the typical DTM experience where you lose and get tokens like 10, 15 times, 20 times, and then maybe you get an NFT or a prize. Users could be frequently getting prizes, which were different traits, alongside getting NFTs, alongside getting SPLs and USDC. So because the model combined together led to a lot of volume, our gotcha machine in the first month of its release was actually able to do 130% of the royalties that we would have got if we had full royalties enabled for that month. I think the equivalent on the graphic was something around 1,230 SOL in terms of total revenue we turned over, which was equivalent to, I can't remember, something. It's a really high number, almost a 5-digit number of Bad Cat sales worth of royalties, which is really, really crazy. So for the whole duration where royalties were down, it wasn't like we were making money hand over fist, but we were able to create a system where holders were inputting SOL to get objects, which when sold to collectors was giving them more liquidity, but also giving us the money and funding we needed to stave off the bleeding from a lack of royalties. And to go alongside this, we dropped our royalty to 5% because we perceived that for the foreseeable future, to substitute revenue, we can create different DApps and use different mechanisms leveraged inside of our system to circumvent that. So we didn't need a 10% royalty like we did initially when we were starting out on a super tight budget, raising less money than almost every other collection that's in the top 100.
W answer. So we've been going for almost an hour now. If you have any closing statements, I guess, or last things you want to say, go ahead.
Dude, my mouth is dry. I should have got a water before this, but no, I just want to say thank you to you, Carter, for reaching out. I don't even know whose comment it was that you reached out and we made this happen. But
Liberty
you're
Square.
super awesome. You got shout out to Liberty. Liberty's that guy.
Oh yeah.
Liberty's that team.
Oh yeah. I had them on my
But
last
you're
podcast.
super good host. You're a phenomenal host. You've got a great attitude, a great flow to the questions. Community's awesome. I appreciate Jelly as well coming out here, and just keep doing what you're doing. I guess my closing statement is thank you to all the Bad Cats, PFPs, the Bad Cat holders without Bad Cat PFPs. At the end of the day, we're just creating something to be excited about, to share an experience with, and you all make that happen. You make the experience. You're the community that cultivates the culture, that spreads the word and makes the message happen. It's the difference between us sitting in the bottom 1,000 and the top 100. Regardless of what we build, at the end of the day, it's your guys' reactions to it and how you carry that energy out into the Twitter spaces, into Twitter, into the communities, into Discords, making people want to be a part of this shit. So, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Jelly, go ahead, then I'll say mine.
Appreciate you, Hellboy, Bad Cat, and all the holders coming out, and all the listeners. I was just thinking about it for the bear market builders later down the road, Carter. If Hellboy and Bad Cats are down, maybe we can do like a collab project space with Bad Cat and another project if they're down for that. I mean, it's great of having you guys here. It'd be awesome to see like founders, talk and collaborate and have both projects on the space actually talk about things. That's something that I see a lot of projects try to do, but doesn't come successful because at the end of the day, we all want to learn, and we want founders to like talk with other founders and actually grow the space instead of just growing a project. I know everybody has hit their plateau of where they've gotten to on floor price or tech or whatever it may be, but I just want to see founders collaborate more often in this space because we do need it. We need more holders of multiple projects to build these networks even deeper. So on that note, appreciate you guys, and I would love to have you guys back on this space. Go ahead, Hellboy.
No, I just want to say, dude, you actually hit the nail on the head right there. Recently, me, Andy, Snooze, and Tim from AP got together, and we just started a group chat with 75 founders, of new projects, things in the last that are 3+ months old, that are builders, and just thinking about how we can combine our minds, leverage the tech that we're making in unison together to make things way more cooler, collaborate on a deeper level and also spread the reach of our communities. It's the way we broke it down and the way we put it out there was to get visibility is the first key step to anything in this ecosystem. And if everyone is competing and they refuse to support each other because they want to eke out that market share, and we're all working together to bring up the product, and we all know that we bring our own unique proposition, it's just about getting it to the right investors, like getting the right people from a wide pool into the right areas. And those areas being all the different projects working together, we're going to succeed super well. So, that chat is moving at like fucking 10 messages a minute. And I've met like 20 different founders today, which is super fucking awesome. So you're totally right that founders just need to work with other founders, and that's where the true growth is going to come from. And so far, it's been a fucking amazing process.
Yo, let's fucking go. I love to hear that, dude. Because, we see founders and do this and do that, but we don't really see founders actually collaborate with other projects that want to build. So I love to hear that Bad Cat is doing that. It just shows like you guys want to learn and you guys want to get your holders somewhere. And that means a lot for this space because, bro, we've hit the bear. We're still in the bear, but we're still grinding. So for Bad Cat to do that, actually, not even have an ego, because you see a lot of successful projects, they have an ego to things. But I love to hear it. Another, food for thought is like, projects coming together and actually like putting money together to host IRL events. I mean, when I went to NFT NYC, like it was an amazing experience of meeting other people and holders and stuff. And some of the events were like co-events. So there'd be like 3 projects that were put together. And it was just an amazing experience of seeing 3 different projects come together and then talk about why they're bullish on their project. Great connections are made, and I'll live with those memories for a lifetime, bro. So I would just love to see it. And soon enough, I will be a Bad Cat holder because this space was great, bro. Thank you so much for it. And I'll pass it off to you, Carter, unless Hellboy has anything else to say. Oh, you, Carter.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
All right, well, Carter's on a pooper right now. I don't know where he. From the ground up. I don't know another 13-year-old that's doing that. I don't. So if you guys haven't already, follow Bad Cat, follow Carter. Don't follow me. I am a bozo. But Carter, do you have any last remaining remarks?
Yo, it crashed. I love it. All I wanted to say was yes, I'm thinking about doing, not co-spaces, but have multiple projects up here soon. I just wanted to say thank you, Bad Cats, for coming up. I appreciate it a lot. You guys, you are supporting me very early in my podcast journey, so I appreciate it. I appreciate all the holders and non-holders that came and listened. Like, you guys are the real ones for real. Jelly, thank you for co-hosting. I want to talk to you about co-hosting more because you are W co-host, and yeah, I'm gonna have to pick up myself a Bad Cat very soon because I'm bullish. So if you haven't already, go check out Bad Cats. Always do your own research. Not financial advice, of course. This was episode 5 of the Bear Market Builders. I appreciate everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh, man.